at the Player Development Complex in Southwest Florida down in Fort Myers. Back on stage, former Red Sox outfielder Reggie Smith joining us on stage. Hi, Reggie. What are you doing in town?
I'm here with a new company that we started, Expertex, that's hopefully going to protect players from some serious hand injuries that we've seen over the years here.
I had seen you out in Indianapolis at the Major League Baseball and minor league trade shows, and you were showing us some of the technology and the products. What's the idea behind it? Behind the gloves and some of the other equipment?
Well, yes, one of the key factors is it's a new advanced impact composite material that we've developed that will take the load impact of a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and step it down to about 39 miles an hour. Over 60% of the load impact is dissipated horizontally throughout the glove. The leathers and the design of the glove more in the shape of a hand, where most gloves are made flat. These are made in the shape of a hand, so it helps you to start to close your hand around the bat. It's technology that's been out there for about 30 years, and baseball is usually a little slow to want to make the changes, but you see it in extreme sports, motorsports, that they've had this and to try to protect riders. So why not baseball? Instead of having a player that potentially can have a career-ending injury, he's just sore.
Right, which is, in the investment these teams put into these players. And, that wrist, the hamate, we've seen a lot of those. You end up losing half a season or a season.
All it takes is a pitch hitting in the hand. Jim Rice in 1975, and in September, or Jeff Bagwell 2 or 3 times in his career, crowd of the plate, he got hit. It really shortened his career dramatically. Did you get hit much in the hands?
I gotten hit in the hands, but I was just fortunate that it was always glancing and never had that direct impact, Peter. And to that extent, the additional padding that we've put into glove to protect those areas. And Jimmy said, first thing he saw the gloves, he said, "This would have kept me in the World Series."
Which might have changed everything as far as Red Sox Nation goes. When you come to these camps, Reggie, you look around, you see the young guys out there stretching and going through the workout. Kind of take you back a little bit sometimes when you look at it.
Yeah, it makes me remember why I retired. But to see the bodies on these guys and how they've conditioned themselves and preparing for the season, I miss that part of it, in thinking back. But then when I go to take that first step, and I remember again, like I said, I played in a pretty good time, a fun time, and had a chance to play with some really great ball players and see some great ball players play. I don't miss it that much.
You've coached, and of course you've worked with the Olympic team, and are you still active in coaching?
I do. I have, my own baseball academy out in California, and we're building a tournament park in Mauston, Wisconsin. So I keep my hands in it, and it helps keep you young when you're dealing with young players and sharing the things that I learned along the way from greats like Ted Williams and Yaz with the Red Sox, and you'd be able to pass along those things that I've learned to kids. It keeps it fun for me, and it keeps me in the game.
You said you played at a great time. You played on a great team. 1967, the team that kind of started all of this. I don't know if we're talking about new complexes down the road, and renovations to Fenway Park, if not for that 67 team. When you look back on it, and obviously fans always talk about that impossible dream season, it was a special group of guys and a special time.
It really was. Coming along the way that we did, and Dick O'Connell and Dick Williams having the courage to make the moves that they did, and moving out a lot of older players and saying that we're going to do this. If we have a chance to win this thing, we're going to do it with young players like myself, Joe Foy, George Scott, Mike Andrews, Bill Rohr, Bill Landis. Knig was a veteran because he had started in '64 at that time, but we were young. And we were going to go out there, and Dick issued that challenge to us by saying we're going to win more games than we lose. And that changed the whole attitude. It changed, I believe, the culture of the Red Sox at that time to one that we could contend if we played baseball the right way and did the things that you needed to do to win ball games, and we were able to achieve that. That year was magical in the sense that every little boy dreams about playing and winning and playing in a World Series, and seeing the year, one of the greatest years I've ever seen, Yastrzemski winning the Triple Crown. Just everything that happened and culminated into us playing in the World Series, unfortunately not winning it, but that's what you play for. That's what you go to spring training for. That's what you play the season for, to play in the World Series and win.
What's your greatest memory of facing Bob Gibson in the '67 World Series?
It was a little intimidating because, you know, his reputation obviously preceded him, and knowing that he was one of the most fierce competitors and pitchers in the game, you know that you had to be at your best. And if you could get a hit off of him, and if you could find a way to maybe even beat him, would have been an even more tremendous feelings, but we weren't able to achieve that. And it's obvious that being as good as he was, going into the next season, he had the greatest year in terms of an ERA that a pitcher could ever have, and we could see that at that time. He was tough.
You know, we've talked a lot this spring about Jacoby Ellsbury moving from center to left. You moved from center to right. Right field's a lot tougher to play at Fenway Park than left field. How tough an adjustment was that for you?
You know, actually, it became a lot of fun for me because it gave me a chance to, I believe, use my arm a little bit more, and it was because they were starting to challenge me, and it forced me to actually become more accurate. You know, I had the good arm, but it took me a while to get it under control to where I could be consistent in placing the ball and planting it where I went. Just the other day, I was in Lakeland, and Al Kaline came up to me, and that was, to me, at the time, in terms of playing defensively in right field and throwing runners out and making the proper throws and doing everything right on the field, and it was Al Kaline. And that's what I wanted to do. But, you know, in the National League, you had Clemente, whom I had played alongside of in winter baseball in Puerto Rico. Had the good arm, but it's learning to control it. But right field actually was more fun for me out there, and that's pretty much where I ended up in my career.
You just didn't want that ball rattling around in the corner, because if it got by you, that's big trouble, right?
you learn how to, to play angles, and that was something that I was able to take with me to other ballparks, and later on share with other outfielders like Raul Mondesi, that these are the little details that you pay attention to. Never go into a ballpark and not know what that ball is going to do when it gets down in that corner, because it can embarrass you.
Well, you ended up having a great career with the Dodgers after you went to the Cardinals. What are your greatest memories of playing for Tommy Lasorda and the Dodgers?
So, you had a manager that came to us, each one of us, and told him how much he needed and what our roles were going to be. And that was the first time I really ever had a manager say, I need you, and this is what I'd like you to do. Well, okay. And Tommy was a great motivator in that sense. And it just so happens at the time when I got traded to Los Angeles, I believe I was in the best years of my career, and it gave me an opportunity to go home and play in front of my parents, and with a group of guys that were growing into their roles as players. So we had a really, really good team there, and it was a lot of fun, Peter, to play for that Dodger ball club at that time, and it was indicative of the fact that we were able to win. We just had a tough time beating the Yankees in the World Series.
Everybody else had trouble beating the Yankees too, so that puts you in pretty good company. Reggie, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming out.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
My favorite stat on Reggie Smith, 13 seasons you played 70 or more games, winning teams on all 13 of those seasons.
Well, I like to think that I contributed a little bit to that. Thank you anyway.
You'll win more than you lose, like you said. That's a pretty good way to go. Reggie Smith with us here on stage. We'll take a break, come back, take a look ahead at the schedule. Nick Cafardo of the Boston Globe.